As chair of the Irish Bishops' Conference Council for Healthcare, I welcome the message of Pope Francis for the 33rd World Day of the Sick, which we celebrate today, the 11th of February, the feast of Our Lady of Lourdes. His message this year is framed in the context of the Jubilee Year of Hope, and it reminds us that even in suffering, we are called to be pilgrims of hope. Pope Francis encourages us to find strength through our faith in times of illness and distress, and to embrace the call to see suffering not as a cross to bear alone, but as an opportunity to encounter God, to receive His gifts, and to share His love with others. It is important to acknowledge, though, that while Pope Francis's call for us to recognize God's closeness in suffering through encounter, gift, and sharing is very comforting, it is also very challenging. The view that suffering can be an occasion for an encounter with God speaks to our belief that in our weakness, God's strength is revealed. When Jesus sent His disciples to proclaim the kingdom of God to the sick, He was not merely offering words of consolation, but an invitation to recognize His presence even in the midst of suffering. Now, illness, as you know, quickly removes the cloak of self-sufficiency that we can wrap around ourselves and reveals our need for God, for the depth of His compassion and for the healing power of His love. Pope Francis draws attention to the words of St. Paul in the letter to the Romans, that nothing will be able to separate us from the love of God. Now, this assurance is a gift from God that deepens our hope, because it is a gift that sustains us even when everything else seems to be uncertain. Christ walks with us every step of the way, offering His presence in the Word, in the sacraments of the Church, and through the support of the faith community. Now, finally, the message calls for us to recognize the power of sharing our own presence with those who are suffering. The presence of caregivers, medical professionals, family members, or friends is a tangible expression of God's love for those who are sick. The smallest acts of kindness become beacons of hope that illuminate even the darkest moments. In these shared experiences, we discover that suffering is not an isolated journey, but one that unites us in faith, love, and solidarity. Now, implicit in this call is the need for us to continually advocate for a healthcare system that never loses sight of the dignity of the person from conception to natural death. Sometimes healthcare becomes overly concerned with economics and scientific advancements and doesn't see the person beyond the patient. For true and holistic healing to take place, the importance of faith, family, and community must be factored into the care of the sick. As we celebrate this World Day of the Sick, we are called to reflect on the challenge of Pope Francis to find hope in suffering. We are reminded that even in our weakest moments, we are not alone. God is near, offering His strength, His gifts, and His people to walk alongside us. May we in turn resolve to become instruments of His hope and comfort, bringing light to those who need it most.